People who've actually interacted and worked with women who wear the veil have absolutely no problem with it. I think it's a fear of the unknown.
Douglas Murray, would you like to see the veil banned here?
Well, I think, like a majority of British people, I think that it should be banned in public places, particularly places like courtrooms, where it's absolutely imperative that a jury are able to see the faces of people who are accused. As for an overall ban, I think, look, my own opinion is that niqab is highly undesirable. I think that we live in a society where people do show their faces, where huge amounts of our social interaction depend on people showing their faces. I think that it's very difficult to enforce a ban in public places like streets, but it should be certainly a desirable thing to discourage its wearing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am your favorite, read the shirt and weep, folks, white colonizer, the traveling clad tall, and I'm back with you on another episode. Today we're going to be looking at a clip from Douglas Murray, facing up against a bunch of burqa-clad Muslim ladies. Let's take a look at this clip.
Can I just begin with you, Fatima?
Yes.
56% of British people don't really support the wearing of the full face veil in public. They don't want it.
Well, I think it depends on where you take the poll, really, because, something that I've recently launched is a project called Secrets of a Muslim Woman, and it's all about letting people know why we do what we do, because I think a lot of it is to do with not really being familiar with it. You know, I mean, my message to the British public is that you've got nothing to fear. You know, this is a piece of cloth.
They don't feel that, though, do they? Because elsewhere in this poll, a majority said they don't know how to relate to a woman wearing a full face veil.
I think, you know, the people who have actually interacted with women who wear the face veil, people who work with them. I mean, we're in East London today. In East London, the veil is practically, you know, normal on the streets of East London. People who've actually interacted and worked with women who wear the veil have absolutely no problem with it. I think it's a fear of the unknown.
Douglas Murray, would you like to see the veil banned here?
Well, I think, like a majority of British people, I think that it should be banned in public places, particularly places like courtrooms, where it's absolutely imperative that a jury are able to see the faces of people who are accused. As for an overall ban, I think, look, my own opinion is that niqab is highly undesirable. I think that we live in a society where people do show their faces, where huge amounts of our social interaction depend on people showing their faces. I think that it's very difficult to enforce a ban in public places like streets, but it should be certainly a desirable thing to discourage its wearing.
To impose a ban, but in principle you'd like to see one because you think in Britain it's unacceptable.
In public buildings, in courts, in schools and places like this, absolutely, I think a ban would be very sensible. In streets and so on, I think it's difficult, but it should be societally discouraged.
Fatima?
No, a ban, I mean, I think it's a complete overreaction. Look, the niqab has been part of the British landscape for the last 20-odd years, OK? Muslim women have been going about their business. We've got a radio presenter here, we've got a scientist, we've got talented Muslim women who've got a lot to give to this society, who've been doing so and been very sensible about it. When we need to remove our face veils, we do it. But how do you think we get through airport security?
I mean, what about the fact that 56% of people are saying they don't want it here?
You know what? I'm not surprised at all, because when you know that high-profile politicians making such offensive comments and big fuss about it, I am not surprised when the public say they are against it.
We show our faces.
Exactly. The British society, the fabric of the British society is respecting the public freedom.
We are
British.
Public
freedom is part of it, the religious freedom.
What about the fact that people feel uneasy? They said they don't know how to relate to women who have their faces covered.
First of all, let them interact with us. Let us be open and engaging with them. This is number one. Secondly, 80% of communication in the world does not involve face-to-face. Twitter, Facebook, phones doesn't involve face-to-face communications.
I'm sorry.
The issue is the problemization here. It's not existent problem at all.
I'm sorry. I worked in this area for 7 years, about 15 years ago, and this was not, as you said, a norm. This has been imported and exported for reasons which we haven't got time to go into. We live in a society, in this society, and we live in a country which is very, very complicated. And to shut yourself off as if the rest of us are infections and cutting...
How are we
do not
show
This is the meaning.
We are engaged. We are active. How are we shut off?
Shalina, you have said that in engaging with your elderly white neighbour who feels uneasy, sometimes you remove the veil. When you worked with children, you remove the veil. Isn't that an acknowledgement that it is difficult for people to engage with women who have their faces covered?
Yeah, I think it is. And I also honour what Douglas Murray has just said. He couldn't actually feel comfortable, and, you know, I'm making a presumption here, but you couldn't say, let's do an outright ban. And that's great, because I understand you look at social cohesion. It's about looking at, let's isolate it. Whose discomfort are we going to favour? Because if I lift my veil, I'm then uncomfortable. And we've favoured someone's discomfort.
We live in a society, and I don't believe in the French ban. I don't think you should do that.
But why not?
Absolutely.
If you're opposed to it,
no,
if you
I think there
is
is a very simple way of saying, and a non-racist way of saying, in public institutions, everybody, whoever they are, must show their faces. It's Muslim exceptionalism that is becoming the problem.
No, it's not.
If we have the same rule for everybody, and at home, on the streets, I don't want people stopped. Okay?
We accommodate religious expression in this country. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses who don't want blood transfusions, Sikh people who want to wear turbans. We make exceptions, you know, in certain situations. And so, look, you know, I really want to reach out to the public and say, you've got nothing to fear from us.
But take
We're
up
British.
Yasmin's-
I was born in this
take up
country. I
Yasmin's
love this
point.
country.
Take up Yasmin's point that this is about exceptionalism. Take up Yasmin Alabai-Brown's point about this is about exceptionalism.
We accommodate, don't we, in this country, and in my country, Britain, we accommodate religious expression. And we do make exceptions for people. And there's nothing, and that's what I thought.
And we cannot destroy the minorities and the religious belief in the name of equality.
What if the majority feel uncomfortable, feel uneasy and say they don't want it?
I think then the onus is on us as well, isn't it? I mean, to actually reach out. And I'm hoping that this is just going one step towards that, to say to people, look, you know, we're human beings just like you.
But if I may very quickly, religious freedom is an extremely important thing, and I think most people who would agree, I hope in this room, that Britain is the most tolerant place in the world to live, including as a Muslim.
Yeah.
But let's just add one thing to this, if I may. The issue of social interaction is very important, and not just to me, but obviously to a majority of the British people. Yeah. What I say tonight, what Yasmin says and other people say tonight, people see our faces, they know who said it. I'm sorry to say this, but nobody knows who you are. They can hear your name, they can't see you. If I say something stupid on television tonight, people know it's me saying it. If you do, with all due respect, you can disappear and no one knows.
No, we're not disappearing.
What does this say?
Come on.
The meaning of this thing is extremely important to address. The meaning of this thing is women are by nature dangerous to men and society. Therefore, they must be covered, they must be buried. That's the meaning of it. And that's what I cannot accept.
I mean, Fatima, come back on exactly that point, because we have spoken to women who say that they cover their faces because they don't want to incite passions among men. I mean, that is essentially Yasmin's point.
Well, look, essentially, I think, you know, that's Yasmin's opinion.
No, it's not my opinion.
Yes,
that
it is. It is your opinion.
Ask the Taliban. Ask Taliban why they're imposing it.
Yasmin, you know, I'm really sorry. Maybe you haven't really met women in niqab. I would like to invite you out to my house. You know, you can see my face. We can sit together. We can have a laugh.
Yes, but
and then I think it will change your opinion.
Couldn't come to your house and see your face, though, could he?
I can assure you I'm not going to be
He could meet
aroused.
my husband. You're welcome. You would be welcome to, you know, come to my house.
Kola Hassan, yeah, can I ask, I mean, you used to wear the niqab and then changed your mind. Why?
Two main reasons. One was theological. I made some attempt to actually study the whole notion of niqab in Islam, and I found that it's not actually mandatory. The hijab, the headscarf, is mandatory, but the niqab is not. It's part of Islamic society right from the beginning, but it's not mandatory. Just go and read a little bit of Ibn Kathir, for example.
Yeah, I'm a scholar in training, actually, so I do know that.
Sorry,
and secondly, we have a social function in society. We are here to interact with society. We have to have a social consciousness. We have to benefit society. We have to interact with society. And I realized in those 3 years I was a nobody. Nobody wanted to talk to me because they couldn't talk to me. I could smile until the cows come home, but nobody could see me smiling.
You see, that's a very good point, isn't it? Because you say you were a nobody, and yet many, many people in our poll disagreed with this notion that it was empowering in any way.
And I bet you there were many Muslims in that survey. Most Muslims don't care for this either. So to say British as if it was, you know, non-Muslims, most of us daren't speak out. When I do, I get death threats. I've had emails just this week
from
Niqab calling me a prostitute. What is this freedom that we have? We can't even criticize what is not acceptable.
I'm not going to go through the whole video. Sorry, I muted myself. I apologize for the construction sounds. I basically live in a construction site, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully I'm moving out very soon, inshallah. Here's the main issue with the niqab, I think, for most people. Like, freedom of expression is all good, but if Muslim society, right, was behaved equally in places like the United Kingdom and places like America, if they didn't behave consistently, I'm not saying every Muslim, but Islamic society at a whole in the UK hasn't preached the ideas of colonization of the United Kingdom, of taking over, of proselytizing, of Islamizing, of Arabizing the United Kingdom, I think this would be a different scenario. I think if this was just a small fringe group of religious individuals who didn't pose any sort of threat to the way of life of other people, this would be totally fine. Like, it's like, whatever, do whatever you want, cover yourself up. But that's one aspect of it. The fact that it feels like, and there's an intention to impose this way of life onto other people, especially other people in the UK, and there's been an attempt to do that already, I think is already a big issue. Like, that's one part of why people feel there needs to be accountability for the things that Muslims in general say, and you can't just hide your face with a niqab or kafiyah, for example. You can't cover your face with a headscarf if you're a man as well, because there has been a huge lack of accountability at the behest of Muslim individuals and Muslim communities in the United Kingdom, and that's a big problem. But second, okay, this idea that many people in the modern world don't feel comfortable with hiding women under what feels like bed sheets. We're not comfortable with it. Many people will never be comfortable with this idea of safeguarding a woman because it does feel like oppression. And you have to understand that if you're in a society in the West, coming to that society in the West and changing them and saying, hey, you need to accept me for how I am. You need to accept this. It's just going to happen in your nation, and you need to accept it. Let's just be honest, it's not something we're comfortable with. It's not something that most people around the world are comfortable with, is covering a woman from head to toe so the only visible part of her is her eyes. Cultural or not, it's something that many people are going to be uncomfortable with. It does feel like oppression. It really does, and a lot of people are not going to feel comfortable with that be something that goes on in their country. And here's the real reality of it. If that's a religious choice of yours, maybe consider immigrating elsewhere. And I'm not trying to say this as like, get out of the country, Muslims. No. I'm trying to say, if you think that that's the way that women should be, that's how you want to inspire people around you to be, if that's how you feel as a woman, you want to cover yourself in a niqab, and it's truly not coming from anybody else's decision, nobody's making that decision for you, it's something you've decided to do, go forth and move somewhere where that's the norm. Don't try to change it in the streets of the UK and make it something that is the norm, because people are never going to be comfortable with it. I'm sorry, as a niqabi, people are just not going to be comfortable with this. It's not something you can change because it feels unnatural. And I specifically what Douglas Murray talks about there, the accountability. If you say something stupid or evil or arrogant, you take no accountability. Every human being should be accountable for the stupid shit that they say or the smart things that they say. When you have members of society walking around being able to say anything they want with zero accountability, that is not safety for anyone, not for them, not for the people around them. Those are my thoughts. I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye, Klats.
Has this ever happened to you? Hey, are you a Zionist? What is this hesitation? You think Judah the Maccabee was hesitating when he's fighting for Israel? Here, take this. You think Queen Esther hesitated before stopping Haman from ending the Jews of Persia? Well, hey Habibi, you think Herzl thought he was a white colonizer as he Zionized the Jews of Europa? Listen, kid, I don't care if you're a Muslim, a Jew, or a Christian. You're a Zionist, right? Yeah. Well, a good Zionist goes to thetravelingclad.com and buys some provocative merchandise. They do? Absolutely, a pinch of I have some incredible designs for you, Yellen. They say everything promised to you 3,000 years ago. Here, take a shirt with a matching hat. For you, good price. They say they kick you from 109 countries. Here, join the 109 club. Take shirt and matching hat. For you, good price. Habibi, you want to Zionize? Here, take shirt, matching hat. You like Kuba Select shel Safta? Here, take shirt, matching hat. Take sticker, take hoodie. Take, good price, take, good price, take, good price, take, good price, take. Yossi, achi, he understands you, stop! A good Zionist goes to thetravelingclad.com and buys merch. Yalla, Habibi, for you, Good price.
If you don't want to buy any merchandise, the best way to support me is by donating on Buy Me a Coffee, my PayPal, or becoming a member on my Patreon. Your support is very much needed and very much appreciated. Thank you.